Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. Tonight, we bring you a recap of the latest developments in the ongoing Iran crisis. The fragile ceasefire between Tehran and Washington hangs by a thread as tensions escalate on multiple fronts. U.S. President Donald Trump's comments on Beijing's role have sparked confusion, while reports suggest Iran may be preparing to withdraw from the agreement. We'll break down the key events and statements that will shape the Middle East future. Stay with us for a comprehensive analysis of these critical moments. Following a surprise meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping, Beijing's involvement in brokering an Iran truce has come under scrutiny. The ongoing tensions between Iran and its global partners took a turn for the better with a long-awaited ceasefire agreement that has lifted markets worldwide. The deal was brokered by Pakistan through secret negotiations with both sides. However, U.S. President Donald Trump's statement on the situation has raised concerns about the fragile truce. According to Trump's spokeswoman Karoline Leavitt, there were conversations between top officials from the U.S. and China that led to Beijing's involvement in securing the ceasefire. The Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, is scheduled to meet with Trump next month in Beijing. While this suggests a positive development, Trump quickly turned the conversation on trade by threatening a new 50% tariff on countries supplying weapons to Iran. Iran has refused to budge, keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed and warning that it could abandon the deal if Israeli attacks on Lebanon continue. The situation is precarious, with many questioning whether the ceasefire will hold. Israel's military actions in Lebanon have been a major point of contention between Tehran and its enemies. The impact of this situation extends far beyond Iran and Israel. Global markets were lifted by the news of the ceasefire, but Trump's comments have cast doubt on the stability of the agreement. It remains to be seen how China will respond to Trump's threats and whether Beijing can keep the peacekeeper in check. The delicate balance of power in the Middle East is under constant scrutiny, with many wondering what the next move will be. As tensions in the region continue to escalate, a potential new development is emerging on the front lines of the ongoing conflict between Iran and its adversaries. Reports are emerging that Iran may be considering withdrawing from its ceasefire agreement with Israel amid a surge in Israeli strikes on Iranian targets. According to a security source quoted by Al Jazeera, Tehran views these actions as blatant violations of the truce. This comes as reports surface of an Israeli drone being downed in Fars province, further straining relations between the two nations. Tasnim news agency has claimed that Iran is mulling its response to what it perceives as Israeli aggression, potentially leading to a withdrawal from the agreement. The implications of such a move would be significant, with many experts warning of a potential escalation in tensions in the region. Meanwhile, reports have emerged of disrupted ship and oil tanker traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, which is a critical waterway for global energy supplies. Fars news agency has confirmed that this disruption was indeed caused by Iranian actions aimed at deterring Israeli aggression. The situation remains volatile, with both sides dug in and showing little willingness to back down. The international community is watching the developments closely, as a potential conflict between Iran and Israel could have far-reaching consequences for global stability. With tensions running high, it's uncertain what the next move will be, but one thing is clear: the stakes are higher than ever before. According to sources close to the administration, there's been a denial issued today about a highly anticipated report regarding the Strait of Hormuz. The White House has denied reports that the Strait of Hormuz would be closed off to international shipping in response to U.S. military actions in the region. According to sources, including Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, these claims are false. The tensions between the U.S. and Iran escalated after President Trump made a statement on Tuesday, stating that a whole civilization will die tonight if his demands were not met. Leavitt defended this rhetoric as part of Trump's negotiating style, saying it has led to the current situation. Leavitt also pointed out that the U.S. military actions in Iraq have effectively neutralized the Iranian regime's military capabilities, which she described as a rogue Islamic regime that has repeatedly chanted death to America. Meanwhile, President Trump is still considering withdrawing the U.S. from NATO and will meet with the organization's Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House. This move would be in response to what he sees as a failure of NATO allies to aid the U.S. in Iran. In related news, Vice President J.D. Vance will lead talks with Iranian officials in Islamabad, while Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who is not officially part of the negotiating team, will also participate in discussions. The first round of talks has been scheduled for Saturday morning local time. The situation remains volatile, but so far there appears to be no concrete evidence that the Strait of Hormuz would indeed be closed off to international shipping. As tensions with Iran continue to escalate, Senator Schumer is set to bring a critical decision to the Senate floor next week regarding war powers. Good evening. I'm your name, and this is tonight's news recap. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has announced that the upper chamber will vote on a war powers resolution next week, aimed at curbing President Trump's authority over military operations in Iran. This development comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran remain high, despite recent progress on a ceasefire agreement. The Trump administration claims to have reached an interim deal with Tehran, which would limit Iranian missile tests and ballistic missile launches for 60 days. However, Schumer says Congress must take action to ensure that any further military engagement in Iran is authorized by lawmakers, not the president alone. Schumer's move is seen as a response to concerns raised by lawmakers about Trump's handling of the crisis. In recent weeks, there have been reports of increased U.S. military presence in the region and potential plans for a strike against Iranian targets. The War Powers Resolution, which has been introduced by several Democratic senators, would require the president to notify Congress 60 days before engaging in hostilities with Iran or any other country without explicit congressional authorization. By voting on this resolution next week, Schumer hopes to demonstrate that Congress is willing to take a stand and assert its authority over foreign policy decisions. The timing of this move is significant, as it comes at a time when the Trump administration is reportedly exploring ways to prolong a U.S. military presence in the region. The vote will likely be closely watched by lawmakers, international observers, and the public, who are eager to see how the Senate will respond to the growing crisis in Iran. As tensions between Washington and Tehran continue to escalate, a shocking development could have far-reaching implications for regional stability and global politics tonight. Good evening. I'm your host, and we're coming to you live with a developing story from the Middle East. A 2-week ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran has been agreed upon, but at what cost? The breakthrough came after a last-minute diplomatic intervention by Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi. According to sources, the ceasefire is conditional on Iran's withdrawal of its forces from the Strait of Hormuz, as well as the removal of U.S. military equipment from the region. In return, the U.S. has agreed to lift sanctions imposed on Iranian oil exports. But while the agreement seems to be a win-win for both sides, it's not all clear-cut. Israel's position remains unclear, with airstrikes continuing in Lebanon despite the ceasefire. The Israeli military has refused to comment on whether they will stop their attacks now that a deal has been reached between the U.S. and Iran. It's also worth noting that neither side is taking full credit for the agreement. Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian claims the country had always wanted a ceasefire, while the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken credits Pakistan with helping to broker the deal. So who is the real winner here? The answer may lie in the fact that both sides have managed to avoid all-out war for now. But will this fragile peace hold? Only time will tell. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. That's all for now. We'll be back after this break. That's all for today's news recap. Thank you for watching. I'm your name. If you'd like to stay up to date on the latest developments from around the world, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We'll continue to bring you in-depth analysis and breaking news as it happens. Until next time, good night.